I've got a Hudson Bay gorget made probably around the 1700s.
This young fella named Chris is here at the pawn shop today with his antique Hudson Bay gorget.
Came into the pawn shop today to see if I could sell my Hudson Bay gorget. Hudson Bay is one of the oldest companies in the world. I want to try to get 100,000 out of it, but I'll have to see what he offers me.
Chris believes the item is worth 100,000 bucks because of how old it is, and because it was made by one of the oldest companies in the world.
What do you know about this thing?
As far as I know, it was made by Hudson Bay, somewhere probably around 1700s. I don't know a whole lot about it. My dad actually got it. He picked it up at an auction.
Do you know what he paid for it?
Second mortgage on his house.
Rick asks Chris about the item, which he tells that his father picked up from an auction for which he paid a good sum.
These go way back in time. I mean, even the Romans had them. It was to defend against a knife thrust or a sword thrust to your neck. I know the Hudson Bay Company was one of the oldest companies in North America. They were a trade company. You know, they basically traded with Indians.
Hell, Rick, me pioneering this shop, maybe I ought to wear something like that.
I don't think that would fit around your head.
Okay.
All right. It looks like it might have been a trade piece to the Indians. That's Venetian glass.
Yeah.
And the glass beads is completely normal. They had to trade the Indians something for this. They didn't want cash. They didn't want coins.
Rick seemed to be impressed and talks a little about the background of this product, but not much impressed with the actual item.
How much you want for it?
Probably about 100,000.
I don't see that happening.
Why not?
Because I think it's worth a lot less.
How much less?
Like 99,000 less. I can tell you right now it's not 1700s.
All right.
Okay? Because you see this yellow-gray patina that's on it?
Yeah.
Okay? That tells me right away it's nickel silver.
Okay.
Okay? They're right around 20% zinc, 20% copper, 60% nickel. Zinc wasn't isolated really until the 1800s.
All right. What the f are you talking about?
Son, you're way out of line.
I'm just trying to tell you I'm not bullshitting you. I've seen auctions for these things, and they generally go for right around 1,500 bucks.
All right.
I'd offer you $1,000.
I don't know what you're smoking, man, but that's not gonna work. I'm gonna take my stuff and leave.
All right, have a nice day.
That guy, I think he just thinks I'm some punk kid and wanted to lowball me. I'm disappointed I couldn't make a deal. I would have liked to have made the money.
Eventually, it didn't turn out to be a successful deal because Rick was not convinced with Chris's thoughts on the product, the flintlock pistol.
Today I met with a guy who wanted to sell me a pistol. I've never really seen one of these, so I had to call my buddy Sean to come down and check it out.
This man wants to sell this antique pistol to Corey, which he believes has got some worth. Corey calls in the expert to have a look.
I got it at a gun show, and the seller had bought it from an estate sale, and it'd been in the family for generations, and I was fortunate enough to get it.
Sean, who's the expert, asks the man about the gun. He tells him that he got it from a gun show, and he got it because he was fascinated about how old the gun was.
It's authentic and to the period, anywhere between 15 and 2,500. Right off the bat, I know that this is, unfortunately, a reproduction.
Corey asks about the price of the item, which is in between $1,500 and $2,500. However, Sean thinks that the item is not authentic, but a reproduction.
The markings were, punched in as opposed to hand engraved. You would have certain markings on the barrel that were proof marks. Nothing about this gun that is of the period.
The customer is fierce when Sean tells him that the worth of this item would be $75 to $100 because it doesn't belong to the era as claimed by the customer, and talks about the markings as well.
I paid $800 for this.
I'm sorry you got burned.
My wife was pissed when I bought this gun. Now she's really gonna kill me.
The customer walks off super angry as he had already paid $800 for the gun at the show. Hudson Bay gorget. Bronze Pegasus statue.
I have a bronze statue I like to sell.
Do you know much about it?
I don't know what to tell you about that.
This customer has brought a bronze Pegasus statue in the shop, which he has plans to sell.
Perseus was the mythological figure that killed Medusa.
Rick talks a little about the history of the statue. He asks the customer about it as well.
It was made in 1888 by the French sculptor Émile Picard.
If this is a genuine Picard, we're talking thousands of dollars.
The customer thinks the item is valuable because it was made by a famous French sculptor, Émile Picard.
What doesn't look right is there's some pitting right here. And that crack right there is from when they casted it. It didn't happen later. You see this? It says Made in USA below it. This was not made in 1888.
However, Rick is a little concerned about the cracks on the statue and also claims that the item was not made in 1888.
What you've seen and what you can prove is two different stories. I don't care what you tell me, but I know you're full of
You know, it's all right, Antoine. I got it. That's just what I see.
The customer gets real angry at Rick, telling him he doesn't care what he thinks, and leaves the store. If you like the video so far, then make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, back to the video. The picture of Mary and Abraham Lincoln.
I'd like to sell a picture of Mary and Abraham Lincoln.
This young man walks into the pawn shop with a picture of Mary and Abraham Lincoln in his hand, hoping to make a good deal out of it.
I'm here to sell my 1863 photo of Mary and Abraham Lincoln. It substantiated the importance of the collection because it had Mary and Abraham Lincoln together.
Mark, who's the owner of this picture, tells why he wants to sell the picture.
It's an ambrotype. You know what that means? They would have hooks on the wall that would go around like that, and you'd have to push your head into them for at least 5 seconds.
Rick looks at the picture and gives his opinion on it. He thinks that the picture is an ambrotype, which was the kind of picture used back then.
They were going to get married in 1840 when he was in the state legislature in Illinois.
But they was like, no, you be spending too much, girl.
I don't know where you get your history. They postponed the marriage until his law firm took off.
Rick and Chum both exchanged their opinions on Abraham Lincoln and his wife, talking about their marriage.
I bought it from a collector who sold me a collection of 11 photographs, and I painstakingly was able to identify every single one of them.
And no documentation, anything like that?
Nothing at all. I feel it's 1 in a million, so I'm asking $1 million.
Whoa. I can call someone and take a look at it.
Rick asks Mark where he got the item and also asks him how much he wants for the product. Mark tells Rick that he is aiming to get $1 million for this.
I don't know of another photo of Abraham and Mary Todd Lincoln together. So if it is real, it's probably the only one in existence.
It's supposed to be Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln.
I have my doubts.
Rick calls in an expert to have a look at the item to see if it has got what it takes to be worth $1 million, as per Mark's words.
Abraham Lincoln was a very distinctive looking individual. You have to look at everything in the photograph, from what they're wearing to what type of picture it is. The issue with this guy being Abraham Lincoln, you can see that his nose is a little bit different, his eyes are a little bit different.
Maureen, who's the photo detective, thinks the photo does have some historical background. However, she doesn't think it's an actual photograph of Abraham Lincoln and his wife.
He had a nose that was crooked, and he definitely has one in this photo as well.
I have to admit, I know why you think this is Abraham Lincoln. There's another thing we can look at. Facial comparison software. Okay. So it actually lays one face on top of the other.
I use a caliper, and I check the eyes, and they're a match.
This woman has sort of a different eyebrows.
I feel I'm an expert. I look for other things besides just face.
So do I.
It's your career. You have a right to discredit yourself.
I've been doing this for a really long time.
Okay.
And a lot of people come to me saying that they have...
They'll be coming to me in 10 years.
And you would like it to be worth $1 million. And all I'm saying is it's my opinion that it's not Abraham Lincoln.
Someone's making a mistake.
Things are heated up between the expert and the seller because both have their own opinions on the picture. And it even got clarified when Maureen pulled out a facial recognition software to check the authenticity of the item.
Yeah, no, it didn't sell today. That's not a big deal. It will stay in the collection. In this case, I never got past first base.
Rick seemed to be agreeing with what Maureen said, considering her right. The deal couldn't get closed, and Mark leaves the shop. The Glastron 1958 boat.
A guy just pulled in the parking lot with a boat he wants to sell.
This guy is here in the parking lot with a boat, which Rick and Chum are really excited to check out.
1958 Sea Flight Glastron.
Rick asks the young man what the thing is, to which he tells him that it's an old 1958 Glastron boat.
I came down to the pawn shop today to sell my 1958 Glastron Sea Flight. I'd like to get $10,500 for that boat because you couldn't find another boat like that.
Jimmy, who's the owner of this boat, has high hopes to sell this boat for around $10,500, for which he believes that he will because it's an old classic and a piece like this cannot be found anywhere else.
This boat was made in 1958 by a fledgling company named Glastron. There's probably only 150 of these boats left.
It was 1958, and everyone loved the style of the 57 Chevy, so let's come out with a boat that looks like a 57 Chevy. This Chevy 150, they had one paint scheme they called the Black Widow. Normally I don't buy boats, but this thing is cool. It looks just like the 57 Chevy I got for the old man's birthday. It's definitely tempting because it's an iconic look.
Rick asked Jimmy a little about the boat. He asks about the history of the boats, and Jimmy tells him that it's a unique piece because there are only 150 of similar boats left.
Anything they could make rocket-like was cool at the time.
This thing's supersonic?
No, it's not supersonic. This thing probably did 30.
It's got 80 horses behind it.
Rick tells about a little background of this boat and talks about where the boat was featured. Rick asks Jimmy if the thing is still functional.
You ever smash this thing out on the lake?
I don't know what you mean by smash.
Drive it like a rocket.
This glastron boat is awesome, but boats are tough to sell.
Chum cracks a joke asking if the boat runs like a rocket in the lake. Rick has got his eyes on this masterpiece, however, he's a little concerned about the selling of the item as he thinks boats are tough to sell.
Yeah, this was an affordable family boat.
But do you know why?
Because it was a little 17-foot boat.
No, because it was fiberglass.
Yeah.
Fiberglass was coming in.
Ooh, school's in session. You just got schooled.
Rick takes a little round around the boat and thinks if it was an affordable family boat, to which Jimmy gets a little angry and denies Rick as he thinks that it was a fiberglass boat.
How much did you want for it?
10.5.
Rick frowns at Jimmy's answer, but he still asks him what he wants to do with it and how much he wants.
We have a terrible paint job. It doesn't have the original motor.
Things get a bit tight between the two parties when Jimmy tells Rick about his desired price. Rick disagrees because of certain facts.
Just the styling, and can you even find one?
But it's still all about making money, and there's no money here for me. I mean, I wish I could do something. It's just, I don't even want to make you an offer.
He was basically insulting me with the paint thing, the petty stuff. This guy doesn't know.
However, Jimmy doesn't agree with Rick and still considers the boat as unique. The deal couldn't get closed on any offer, and Jimmy walks off. These deals just didn't work out, but there have been times when people knowingly try to sell fake stuff to the Pawn Stars. Click now to see 5 Pawn Star scammers that got called out.